The actual root of the problem starts considerably deeper.
一番大きな原因だと言われているのは、
Yeah, this is something that I did not mention in my video, and it's absolutely true.
世界的に見て有名なのはアメリカのデトロイトですね。
Oh,
デトロイ
Detroit.
トも
Minasan konnichiwa, and welcome to Let's Ask Shogo. So you guys might remember that I recently made a video saying that Kyoto may be going bankrupt. But I was really surprised to know that I think it was just a while after Tokyo Lens made a video talking exactly about the same topic, but his title and thumbnail said that Kyoto going bankrupt may be a lie. And I was really shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, did I send out the wrong information and such? I was a little bit afraid. But a lot of people, told me that Tokyo Lens recently made this video, and a lot of people were asking me my opinions towards it. So today, I actually have not seen the video yet. I've been really scared for a long time that I might be criticized for sending out wrong information or something. I don't know, I have no clue. But I'd like to take a look at the video and tell you my opinions as a person who was born in Kyoto and also been living in Kyoto for more than at least 10 years now since I graduated university. In this channel, you can take a closer look at Japanese traditional culture, tips on traveling to Kyoto, and social problems in Japan. So learners and lovers of Japanese language and culture, be sure to subscribe to enjoy more content. So then let's start taking a look at the video. Ah, beautiful.
Is Kyoto, Japan really going bankrupt? While the short answer leans towards a no, the short answer also isn't the full answer. And so I sought out an economics professor from Kyoto to find out what's going on. Why did the government announce that Kyoto was on the path to bankruptcy? For that matter, what would a bankrupt Kyoto even look like? And what are the chances of it actually happening?
京都産業大学の経営学部の准教授をしております船津と申します。実際今の京都の財政が非常にうまくいってるというわけではないのは確かです。この京都市が財政がまず危ないかもしれないっていうことのきっかけは、角川市長、今の市長がですね、京都市財政破綻の危機にあるっていうような表現を実際に使ってですね。That's
exactly what I saw.
Back in the summer of 2021, the Kyoto government announced to its citizens that the city was at risk of bankruptcy.
Exactly.
But this announcement was really just step one of a much bigger plan by the city government. A plan in an attempt to recover from the mistakes and poor city planning that started almost exactly 40 years prior during the bubble. And it caught many, including the citizens of Kyoto, by surprise.
ほとんどの京都市民、私も含めて住んでいる人はちょっとびっくりしたと思うんですよね。だから今までそこまで京都市の財政が苦しいっていうことも聞いたこともなかったですし、例えば身をもって今ちょっと苦しいのかもしれないなって思ったようなことがおそらくあまりなかったので、ほとんどの方はびっくりしたと思います。私も最初聞いた時、そんなことになってるんだっていうふうには。
What the professor was saying, Huna Sensei was saying about being surprised about the information, I was absolutely surprised about the news too. And that's the reason why I thought I needed to make a video about the topic. But because I think it's not just the people actually living in Kyoto, but people outside of Kyoto too. I think many Japanese people have the image that Kyoto is actually a rich city, because it's really famous. There's always people coming to Kyoto, for the sightseeings. And, there's just so many historical sites. And because it's just so famous and popular. Our image was that Kyoto's actually rich, so it was a big surprise. Even living in Kyoto, I never actually felt it before, just like he was saying. So I was like, what? Is that true? So it was definitely shocking for me too, absolutely, as an actual Kyoto resident. So how
With the
did
way
this start?
the world has been for the past 2+ years, it would be easy to say that it's all the fault of COVID. Kyoto did completely empty out at one point. But the financial impact of the virus and subsequent lack of tourism didn't so much cause the problem, but rather exacerbate it and make it impossible to ignore longer than it had been. If anything, the tourism and at times over-tourism was propping Kyoto up. The actual root of the problem starts considerably deeper.
一番大きな原因だと言われているのは地下鉄の事業ですね。
Yep, I talked
京
about
都の
this.
市営地下鉄、パブリックの地下鉄を、作ったんですが、それが、当時バブル経済と呼ばれるように非常にコストのかかる時期に作ってしまって、でしかもそれを当初このぐらいの人が使えばリターンがあると考えてたほどには今到達していない状況がずっと続いています。で結果的には今京都市はこの地下鉄の負債を返せずに財政が悪くなっているという状況、割と楽観的に返していけるだろうと思っていたはずなんですが、これ以上財政が良くなる指標がない、良くなりそうにないっていう一方で地下鉄の負債がやっぱあるままなので、このままだと落ちていく一方だっていう危機感ですね。そういう感覚が京都市の方にもあったんだと思います。
About the Kyoto subway, this is exactly one of the reasons why I picked up in my video for the reasons why Kyoto is going bankrupt. As I said earlier as well, it never actually reached the amount of people and the amount of money they were supposed to make in a day. Never ever since it was built. And I've personally heard and studied that Kyoto City has almost been renting money for about 100 billion yen, I think, already to make up for the losses of the Kyoto subway. And if you actually come to Kyoto and try to ride the subway, by the way, it's really expensive. It's super expensive, and because it's expensive, people tend to avoid riding it. So especially when I was like a college student, in Kyoto, and still a university student, a lot of the students were complaining that whenever they have to ride the subway, it's really expensive and it uses so much money, they'd rather like use the bus or something else, And again, that, leads to less money for the subway. So there's this really negative cycle going on, I think. Yeah.
But these subways now serve as more of a pressing backdrop for all the problems that have followed, the problems that led to the government announcing the potential bankruptcy. Kyoto has always been a spot that tourists flock to, both domestic and international.
Exactly.
But in many ways,
Japanese
this
people like
tourism
Kyoto too.
itself and Kyoto's response to it has actually done more harm than good. The city has seen and even encouraged big buyers from within Japan and overseas buying up land in bulk for hotels and in turn driving up real estate prices.
なんで京都がそういうふうに住みにくいかというと、実は一つの理由として京都の今ホテルが投機の対象になっている現実があります。インバウンドがすごく成長してですね、京都にやはり観光客すごく多かったので、京都にはいわゆる外資系ホテルと呼ばれるような世界的に有名なホテルがすごくたくさん増えました。2014年から19年ぐらいまでずっといろんな、例えばリッツ・カールトンであるとか、ハイアットですね。であるとか、フォーシーズンズホテルレジデンスで有名なホテルがいっぱい立ち並んだんですね。でこういうふうに京都の住宅っていうのがどんどん投機対象になっていくと、やはり全体的に住宅事情悪くなっていく。それは市民にもやはり余波があり得るものです。本来だと今どういうことが簡単に起きているかというと、本来だと市民の住むところになったはずのところにホテルができて、そのホテルが投機対象になっている。となるとやはり市民の住むスペースが減っていくので、より限られた地域に人気が集中すると、やはり住宅の価格が高くなってしまうということが起きているんだと。
Yeah, this is something that I did not mention in my video, and it's absolutely true. Way too many hotels in Kyoto, and especially due to COVID, the hotels don't function anymore. Mostly, maybe recently there's more Japanese people traveling to Kyoto, but for a really long time, there was absolutely no purpose for them standing there. Like where I'm living right now, I can't tell you exactly where I'm living, but there are tons and tons of hotels in our neighborhood too. And there's less people actually living there. And the hotels, they look almost empty all the time. And so yeah, the people were kicked out of those places where the hotels are and have to like live in certain areas. Yeah. And even in the places where it used to be cheaper, where people could just, rent houses cheaper and cheaper prices, because of the hotels, those places are starting to get really expensive as well. I actually seen this happening, in Kyoto. So yeah, this is definitely one of the things too. It's making the lives of the residents in Kyoto much more difficult, I think. Yeah.
And so slowly and consistently, residents and small business owners have been moving out of Kyoto to places where they can afford to live or run their businesses,
people are going out
subsequently
to Osaka.
taking their income, their taxes, and often families with them.
Yes.
And if this strain isn't hard enough over a long period of time, what they leave behind aggravates the issue even further. Because as this happens, Kyoto gradually inches towards the majority of the population fitting into two main categories, either students or the elderly and aging, each contributing inadvertently in its own way to paving the path towards potential bankruptcy.
京都に住んでるファミリー、家庭が一番損をする可能性が高い。でかつ実はこの人たちがもっと増えないと京都市の財政良くならないわけですね。
That's so
で
true.
一方で例えば高齢者に対するサービスがすごくいいんですね。例えば高齢者に対して市バスや地下鉄をフリーで使えるような、フリーパスを配っていたりとか、京都市は大学生がすごく多い町です。日本で一番多い。でその人たちは京都に引っ越してきて京都にいわゆる住民票を置く人も非常に多いんですが、一方で大学を卒業した後の定着率がすごく低いんですね。つまりこれは京都で仕事を見つけて京都に住もうっていう風なルートにはなってないということです。これは私非常にもったいないというか機会損失だと思っていてですね、もしその京都の学生がもっと京都に居続けることができて、でそこで例えば家庭を持って子供を育ててっていうふうにするようなストーリーが私は一番理想的である。
Yeah, this is so true. It's absolutely true. I have a lot of friends who are saying that they really want to live in Kyoto because they do love the historical site, or they like traditional culture and such, but they can't live here because a lot of the taxes, for example, are really expensive. It's really hard, difficult to raise kids in Kyoto. And what he mentioned about number of university students, but being really, really big, but the people staying to live in Kyoto, like us. I'm definitely that kind of person. I went to university in Kyoto and I continued to stay, so I've been living in Kyoto now for about 10 years, but I cannot think of any other friend. I mean, Tomoko, my team member, of course, we went to the same university together, so she is now living in Kyoto, but she originally was in Osaka to work too, right? If I didn't invite her, she wouldn't come to Kyoto either. Almost no person that I know of that stayed in Kyoto. Everyone is usually back in their home city or in Tokyo or in Osaka, the bigger cities to work. And I can't think of any other friend that stayed in Kyoto after graduating university. So that is how rare it is. Even though Kyoto has the biggest number of students, or university students especially, in Kyoto, but after they graduate, they're all gone. And as I explained in my original video, because these students don't have to pay for resident taxes, having a lot of students, of course, it will pay for their to survive and live in Kyoto, of course, but they won't be paying the one of the main incomes for the Kyoto city. So it definitely is a huge loss, I think, for the city, as he is explaining.
But the truth of the matter is that even with all of this, Kyoto isn't actually on the verge of bankruptcy.
Okay.
Not even close.
Not even close.
財政破綻に関しては私はゼロに近いと思います。何かしないとこの状況は良くはならないっていう危機感があることは全くそうですし、京都市はその中でどうやって財政状況を改善していくか、良くしていくかということを考えないといけない状況にはあります。ただ一方でですね、例えば日本で今までその財政破綻した自治体、再生団体になった団体というのは一つしかなくて、北海道の夕張市という場所です。でこれに今再生計画というのがプランが立てられているんですが、これ実は20年のプランです。つまり財政というのはやっぱり一度破綻してしまったらそれを取り返すのに20年かかると。京都も20年後どうなってるか、30年後どうなってるかって考えたら、いよいよ危なくなってから動き出すより今動こうというスローガンだというふうに受け取れば、理解はできます。財政破綻は決してしないような状況ではあるんですが、そういう危機感を共有するためのものだっていうふうに捉えるのが私は一番良いと思っています。
I guess maybe because no one knows for sure how economy or how people will act and move, and we don't know how the situations will be changing from here, right? I mean, tourism might immediately come back, it might not. Something like maybe another major natural disaster might happen. That would change the situation a lot too. So no one knows what's exactly going to be happening, and there are a lot of professionals and professors all saying different opinions and such. So no one, of course, knows. No one can actually see the future. But I completely understand what this professor is explaining, because the media, I guess, do tend to overreact to situations and make the information sound even worse and even more negative to get more views and such. So maybe it could have been that, because I made my video based on all the information that the media has been sending out, some of other professors and such were sending out. But those, of course, tend to be much more negative, maybe, than the reality. Of course, this is another maybe. No one can be 100% sure. But I think his opinion is definitely, well, it's something that I would love to believe in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely something that we need to start moving towards, but it's not going to be like happening in like a day or two or such. I do want to at least believe that this is true.
But this still leaves the question of what would it actually mean for Kyoto to go bankrupt? What would that look like? I had the chance to see Kyoto completely empty at the start of the pandemic. I spent a few days there interviewing the locals and capturing the silence. But with a strong concentration of cultural treasures and such a long history, it's truly difficult to imagine the idea of the city going bankrupt or what shape that would even take. So, of course, I had to ask.
本当に財政破綻が起きたら京都はどうなるのか、あるいは京都に限らず都市ってどうなるのかっていうことですよね。で、例えば日本の例で言うと夕張市はもともと炭鉱があってですね、石炭を取ってたんですね。でところがその石炭が、海外との競争に負けたり売れなくなっていったことで、夕張は例えばゴーストタウンになったと言われています。で本当にそのようになってしまいます。でその理由はそこまで財政が厳しくなると、京都市のケースでもそうなんですが、まず市民へのサービスが非常に、質が落ちていきます。例えば子供を育てる時に保育料もすごく高くなる、住宅もすごく高くなる。で暮らしがすごく不便になるんですね。でそうするとやはり住んでる人というのは当然ですがよそに行ってしまいます。同じようなことが京都でも部分的には起きてるし起きていくと思います。世界的に見て有名なのはアメリカのデトロイトですね。デトロイトももう破綻のところまで行って、でその時にゴーストタウンのようになった写真っていうのが非常に有名になりました。デトロイトは本当に廃墟のようになってしまったんですよね。もともと大きな自動車工場があったんですが、それが破綻してしまったので、そこで仕事がなくなってみんな出て行ってしまった。で非常に治安が悪くなって、例えば犯罪も増えていった。ところが市にお金がないので、例えば警察もやはり市のお金があるからちゃんと動けるもので、警察もまともに機能しなくなるってすると、いろんなことが非常に悪循環になってしまうわけです。人の住む質っていうのがすごく悪くなっていくので、ほとんどの人は出ていこうとすると思います。で他の市で働いて他の市で住もうとする。そうすると余計財政状況が悪くなるので、その悪循環に入っていたりとか、本当にゴーストタウンですね。デトロイトは今実はすごく成長してきているんですが、京都ももしその財政破綻のようになると、まず人がいなくなります。例えば、大学もよそから通うようになると思います。だから学生も住まないし、仕事がないので京都に住まないし、住んでいる人のサービスの質がさらに悪くなっていくとなると、まさに人がいない廃墟になっていきます。で京都に特殊なことでいうと、例えば文化財であるとかお寺とかですね、ずっと日本の歴史として文化として守ってきたものを京都市が守れなくなっていくという可能性もあるわけですね。そういうふうに考えてみると、その日本の中ではやはり文化の中心であって、日本としても残すべきようなものがたくさんある街がどんどんゴーストタウンのようになってしまう。これはちょっとそれこそ想像もつかないような SF のような世界観ではあるんですけども、実際にそうなっている都市は日本にも世界にもあるんだというのは事実ですし、京都がそうならないために努力するという必要も当然あると思います。
Okay, so that's the end of the video. So again, he did rather, how should I say, give us a positive opinion towards the situation. But at the same time, he did say that, of course, and a lot of people are saying that this is something, Kyoto going bankrupt and being abandoned by people, it's something that really could happen. And imagining that, especially because Kyoto has just so many things that's really important to us people training in Japanese traditional culture. You know, like it could be martial arts, it could be tea ceremony, flower arrangements, calligraphy, it could be anything. And also the history and culture, them not being protected by anyone anymore because it's just so hard to live there. It's gonna be like almost like volunteering, you know, paying so much money to stay in Kyoto to try to protect it. Not a lot of people are gonna be able to do that. And it's just really scary to imagine that happening in Kyoto. But to be honest, because I'm gonna be having 3 kids now, right? Having kids in Kyoto is definitely very hard. If I didn't have so much passion tourist Japanese traditional culture like I do right now, I would definitely not be living in Kyoto. Absolutely not. I was again, as I explained in my video, I was talking with a different friend who said that he really wants to live in Kyoto, but because Kyoto is the nursery schools for kids, or kindergarten, those kind of schools, the education fees are just so expensive. In Osaka, I've heard that in many cities it's actually completely free. You don't have to pay anything to let your kids go to nursery schools and such. So considering that, Osaka is really close to Kyoto. Yeah, it's a prefecture just on the side of Kyoto. It's much more convenient to live there than in Kyoto. And then again, as he was saying, the college students will start doing that too, not living inside of Kyoto anymore. And it's gonna be horrible if that actually happens. Now, in my video too, in this video as well, we haven't been able to actually discuss how we're gonna be solving this too much. Of course, if someone had the answer, it wouldn't be such a difficult question, right? But I guess it does start off from Kyoto maybe recovering for tourism, having more people coming into the cities. And otherwise, I will just look forward to all the information that may be provided by Kyoto City. And right now, I really don't have that much power, I don't have that much influence, but really in the next few years, if I'm able to, I really do want to help out Kyoto City itself as well to try to make the situation a little bit better. I don't know what I'll be able to do. I'm just, in my late 20s, still don't have that much experience, don't have that much money. I'm really hoping, I'm really willing to do everything I can to try to help out Kyoto, because this was the land that I was born. This is the land where my mother and my grandparents were born and raised. And especially because I do want all the traditional culture in Japan to be carried on to the next generations. There's tons of headmasters, headquarters of Menryuha, of different traditional culture here in Kyoto. Again, if there's less people, then we won't be training it anymore, and it's going to be gone as well. So I'm really hoping to do everything I can in the future to try to help out Kyoto City as much as possible. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I need to first of all say that I'm really a little bit glad that this wasn't a video saying that Shogo was giving you wrong information kind of stuff. Yeah, basically it's just talking from a different point of view. The conclusion is the same. There is a high risk that Kyoto going bankrupt could happen. It's just a matter of when it'll be happening. Yeah. But at some point, if we just keep on going at this pace in the same direction, it will happen. In the end, we cannot be completely optimistic, right? And yeah, so I definitely will be looking up to this. And if there's any change in information, in situation, for example, if there's new information and such, I will definitely be letting you guys know through new videos. And by the way, Tokyo Lens, I actually have been watching a lot of videos. Yeah. I especially really love the videos where he is playing the Tsugaru shamisen, the shamisen in his videos. My team member Tomoko again, Tomoko loves playing the shamisen recently too, so I watch a lot of videos where he talks about shamisen, the culture and his trainings behind it. If you haven't watched those yet, I hope you can check them out. They're really great. And our goal is to achieve 2 million subscribers by January 2023, so your help would mean a lot. And I'll see you in our next React video. 皆さんどうもありがとうございました. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye bye.